Welcome to Hawthorne Hill Farm and Homestead. I'm Marilyn Cameron, and with the help of my husband Paul, we operate this lovely 46-acre farm property in the Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia. Our children are grown and don't live with us anymore, but we still love this lifestyle and want to continue feeding ourselves. On our farm, we grow a wide array of market garden vegetables, berries, and orchard fruits, and garlic. Plus, we raise free-range hens for eggs, lots of meat birds in the summer. We have a flock of Shetland sheep for wool, and our newest addition to the farm is our family milk cow. Each week, we will post an episode that starts us off in the early spring and will continue until the late fall. We will show you all the things that we do on our farm to get ready for the growing season, how we care for our crops, how we raise our animals, how we make nutritional meals, bake bread, make cheese, pasta, preserves, and so much more. We hope that you will join us and will be inspired to try some new things that will help you become more self-sustaining and to fill your own larder. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. For the next day or so, we're going to be working diligently to get the strawberry patch up to snuff. I've got my weed bucket and a couple weeding tools, knee pads, and a dandelion fork. And I did a little bit yesterday. I'll show you. So I did, this is going to be where the new strawberry plants go. So the soil has to be amended there. But I've got 5 rows here that were planted last year. This will be their very first year to produce. So I just rearranged the straw over them just so it's just covering the ground but not really covering the new growth. And then I took out all the weeds, and over here it's quite weedy. So there's bits of oats that are popping up everywhere and a few weeds. So, and we're also going to a process that we call renewal, which is you prune all the runners that were produced last year. Now in first growth strawberries, you don't ever want to prune them. You don't want to mow them. You simply want to put them in a nice fertile soil, slightly acidic. Make sure you keep them watered, and they have a little bit of like organic matter in the soil. Plus, you can fertilize them, not to use chemicals, but the ratio of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium for a fall planting, like so not a planting but a fall fertilization is 24 12 12. So it's pretty high fertilizer that you give strawberries in the fall, and that can be organic fertilizers like bone meal, blood meal, and potash, etc. And in the spring it's you lightly fertilize them. So when you plant them, you do amend the soil with rich organic matter, and then it's a light sprinkle of fertilizer, sort of at the rate of 6 12 12 for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Whether you use a chemical or whether you use organic matter, it's up to you. But renewing them is pruning all the runners that are extending. So you can see in this row how they're all extending over the polymulch walkways, and over here they've all been cleaned up. So that's the aim, to finish this. And then there's 5 rows over in this little garden over here, and there's some weeding to do over there. So it's going to take me a day or two to get through this. We're going to go pick up the strawberries probably around between the 1st and the 5th of May, and then we'll amend that little patch and get them in. And then it's a matter of just looking after them until they start to flower. The first year for strawberries, so the new ones that will be planted in that empty patch will have their blossoms picked off. That way more energy can go into the plant and the roots to establish them better. It's a bit of a pain because the blossoms come continuously over several weeks, but every time I come down here to check on them, I'll just take 10-15 minutes and run around and pinch off the blossoms. So it really helps. This variety is Cabot, and the new variety coming is Cabot. And I really like them. They're a fairly hardy plant, and they produce a very nice, large, juicy commercial type berry, which sells really well at the market. So I'm going to get going on that. I wanted to show you just what pruning means. So I'll slide this down. Okay. You can use like little pruning shears if you want, or even scissors. So these little runners that are coming off the plant and going across there, I usually just pick a whole bunch up at once like that, and I just prune them with the pruning shears, and then it's done. So I'm just working down this row to get out some of these oats. They come out really, really easy. They're very, very superficial. And so these things, I go along the edge of the row and I just cut, pick up any runners that my fingers are. When you're doing such a small amount, you can certainly do them by hand. And then if you have a bigger, big patch of strawberries, then you can do them with a mower. Or some kind of a tiller. But I find it's pretty easy just going backwards down the row and then just grabbing them and cutting them off. They really like being pruned. All fruit likes to be pruned. Most of the berries like it in the spring, although like raspberries prefer to be fall pruned. But strawberries like to be renewed in the spring, and it really helps to stimulate new growth. And pruning makes for bigger berries and more berries, and that's for sure. The plan today, this morning, is to get the strawberry bed that hasn't got anything in it ready for strawberries, which will be coming in a few days. We have a local nursery that grows them, and they freeze them, and you prepay for them, and you just pick them up, defrost them for a couple of hours in a shady spot, and then you tease them apart and get them in as soon as they're defrosted. So we're going to put this bucket of tractor bucket of manure on each of the 4 rows. I've marked out with the broad fork the 4 rows that is going to go down. We're going to put those down each row, and then I'll broad fork them in, and they're virtually ready for planting. And I'll probably do 4 buckets per row, maybe 5. So that's not so bad. today is strawberry planting day. It's a beautiful day, but very windy. I picked up 150, I think that's a bundle of 25, of Cabot strawberry plants, and they're going to be planted. And I just wanted to show you how I do it. So these are the leaves from last year. So they look kind of tired. They're not really great. And this is the root system. They don't like to be planted where they're bent. So if you can get them in the ground relatively straight, maybe these ones could be bent, but keep them as straight as possible. And then the crown is right here. It's sort of that central tissue, and you can see if you peel it back a bit that there's some fresh green material in there. You don't want to bury that. And I discovered that having a bulb planter works really good for that. So I'm just going to show you how I do it. And there's a special way to plant them so that you don't bury the crown, because if you do, they'll probably die. Or if you're exposing roots after they're planted, they could dry out and die too. So strawberries are a little fussy, but if you get it right, you'll have a nice crop. So here I'm going to put the camera right on the ground and here. So right in the center of the row, I'll push down, okay, and twist out, and I'll leave the soil in the cone, and I'll take one of my plants, okay, and I'll lower him into the hole. And while I'm holding him with one hand, I'll dump the soil that came out of this, including worm, in around him. And I'm putting my fingers down into the hole to make sure it's nice and snug, that there's no air pockets down there. Okay. There. Now I'm going to hold the crown, and I'm just going to pull up a little. That'll straighten out the roots, and then I can continue to push a little bit of the surrounding soil and a little bit of fertilizers that I put in here a few days ago. There. And that's what it should look like. I hope you can see that okay. That the crown is sticking out, but I don't see any roots. Okay, I'll do one more. About here. Twist out. Okay. Little roots. There's the crown. Okay, new tissue, new growth will come from here. So I'm going to lower it into the hole, holding it, dumping the soil out, pushing it all around, using my fingers to push it in so there's no air pockets. Now I'm going to pull up on the crown just a little to straighten out those roots and continue pushing a bit of soil in around it so the roots are covered, but the crown is not. There, and that's how you do it, okay? This is the first year we'll harvest these Cabot strawberries. There's 5 rows here, and we pruned them and weeded them on the last video. And I just wanted to show you how much they've grown since then. And then I wanted to show you the new babies that we just planted a couple of weeks ago. Here's the strawberries that were planted just a couple of weeks ago with the bulb planter. I did a video on how I did that and how we prepared the soil for them. We have 4 rows here, and it looks like they've really come along. They've really jumped. And the reason for the row cover in the strawberries is to prevent the dandelions from getting into them. And if they flower, they won't be pollinated. So I thought maybe it would be a way that I wouldn't have to pick the berries off them all the time. That's kind of time consuming to pick berries, blossoms off strawberries all the time, and they continually blossom for 3 or 4 weeks. So it can be a bit of a nuisance. So I'm going to try it to see if this row cover prevents the blossoms from getting pollinated, and then yeah, then we won't have to worry about picking blossoms off. But the dandelions are out, the seeds are blowing, so I'm going to get this row cover back on. Whoo! Keep them out of there. Here she comes. Come on, Zipper. Come on in for supper. You come for supper, Claire. Come on. Oh, you're so pretty. You're so pretty. Where's the supper? Okay, I'll get it. I'll get it. You're a beauty. You get all these chickens out of here first? Look at all the chickens in your coop. In your pen. Let's get these chickens out of your pen. The little boards will keep the legs from rotting when the grass gets soaking with rain. So the little stand will be here. We're going to go get the fridge and the basket of eggs and change box, and it will be here. And we also sell veggies there and on a table next to it on the weekends. So it makes it a little easier for people to just come right off the road, pull in, get the eggs, and they don't have to be disturbed by our lovely farm dog Fern, who sits on the doorstep.